Every mistake you make in life can be traced back to one thing. You reacted too fast. You responded without thinking. You let emotions outrun your mind. Today, that ends. This audiobook will teach you the most powerful discipline you'll ever build. The 3-second rule. The rule that forces you to pause, forces you to breathe, and forces you to respond with power instead of panic. For the next hour, I will train your mind to slow down before it destroys your future. 3 seconds. One pause. That's the difference between chaos and control.
You need to understand something from the very beginning. Reactive people do not lead. Reactive people survive. Reactive people scramble. Reactive people lose control because they give control away in the first second of pressure. And that's why the 3-second rule exists. Because the moment you delay by just 3 seconds, you turn emotional storms into strategic decisions. You shift from reacting to leading, from panic to power, from impulse to intention. You have spent far too long reacting. Reacting to comments, reacting to criticism, reacting to tone, reacting to people who don't even respect you. And every time you reacted, you handed them your power. You surrendered your control. You let the world decide your next move before you even knew what that move was supposed to be. That ends today. Because you have a choice. And that's the key. The 3-second rule forces you to make that choice. It forces you to breathe before you break. It forces you to think before you speak. It forces you to lead before you lose. And you don't need anyone's permission to do that. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You don't need a green light from the world. The pause is yours. The pause is your weapon. The pause is the difference between the person you've been and the leader you're becoming. Think about the last time you reacted instantly. Maybe it was in a meeting. Someone questioned your work. Someone challenged your idea. Someone used the wrong tone with you. And before your mind could catch up, your mouth was already moving, your face was already tightening, your energy was already shifting. And in that split second, the room decided something about you. They're emotional. They're unstable. They're insecure. And the worst part? They weren't judging your intelligence, they were judging your reaction. People don't follow emotional volatility. People follow emotional control. This is why every leader understands one truth. Timing is power. Not force, not speed, timing. The ability to wait 3 seconds while everyone else rushes into chaos. The ability to hold your ground while everyone else loses theirs. The ability to observe before you attack. That's the key. That's the discipline. And you can build it. You have a choice every single day. When someone speaks to you with disrespect, you have a choice. When someone challenges you in public, you have a choice. When someone sends you a message designed to provoke you, you have a choice. The 3-second rule reminds you of that choice. It gives you back your awareness. It gives you back your control. It gives you back your power. Pause first, lead second. That is the command. That is the discipline you are stepping into. Let's break this down with a real situation. Imagine you're in a team meeting. You present an idea. You've worked on it for days. You've thought through every angle. You believe it's the right move. And then someone interrupts you and says, "I don't think this is going to work." They say it casually. They say it confidently. And your entire body reacts instantly. Your heart rate spikes, your chest tightens, your thoughts scramble. You feel attacked, judged, dismissed. What do reactive people do? They defend. They raise their voice. They jump in too fast. They talk over the other person. They try to prove their point. They try to win the moment instead of winning the outcome. And as they do, they lose respect in the room. They lose leadership. They lose credibility. Now imagine the 3-second version of you. You hear the criticism. You feel the emotion rising, but you do not react. You do not fire back. You do not jump into the trap. You take 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And in those 3 seconds, you shift from emotional to strategic, from defensive to composed, from triggered to intentional. Then you respond with clarity. Thanks. What part concerns you the most? That one sentence changes the entire room. Your tone is calm, your body is steady, your mind is sharp. And suddenly, you are not reacting anymore. You are leading. You took control of the moment because you took control of yourself. That's the key. Controlling yourself is controlling the situation. When you react fast, you lose the power to choose your response. But when you pause, you reclaim that power. You neutralize the emotional spike. You give your logical mind a chance to step forward. You give yourself room to think. And good thinking requires space. Leaders create that space. Followers collapse under pressure. You are training to be the former, not the latter. You have to stop telling yourself you don't have control. You do. You have always had it. You just haven't used it. You've been moving too fast to notice the control you already possess. The pause slows you down long enough to reveal it. And once you see it, you never forget it. This is not about being passive. This is not about being weak. This is not about staying silent forever. This is about using silence as a weapon. This is about using time as a strategy. This is about responding with power instead of reacting with panic. And that takes discipline. Not talent, not intelligence, not luck. Discipline. Because it's not about your emotions. It's about your discipline. It's not about your ego. It's about your leadership. It's not about proving yourself. It's about controlling yourself. Every time you pause, you remind yourself of one truth. You are in charge of your response. Not the situation, not the person, not the tone. You. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. The more instinctive it feels. The more powerful it makes you. Pause first, lead second. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. As we close this chapter, understand this. You cannot lead anyone until you can lead yourself. And leadership begins with the pause. Leadership begins with choosing control over chaos. Leadership begins with the discipline to stop reacting.
Your mouth has gotten you into more trouble than your mistakes, more than your failures, more than your weaknesses. And deep down, you know that. You know that almost every conflict, every argument, every misunderstanding could have been avoided if you had waited 3 seconds. If you had let your mind speak before your mouth did. If you had paused long enough to stop yourself from sabotaging your own progress. Because that's what impulsive speech is, self-sabotage. Not confidence, not courage, sabotage. You need to hear this without sugarcoating. Words spoken without timing become weapons against your own growth. They hit you first. They damage your image. They drain your energy. They weaken your authority. And the worst part? You don't even realize it until it's already too late. That's why the 3-second rule matters. That's why this chapter matters. Because the rule doesn't just slow down your reactions, it rewires the order. Mind first, mouth second. Thought first, words second. That's the key. You've been living in reverse your entire life. You speak, then think. You react, then reflect. You respond, then regret. And every time you tell yourself the same lie. I didn't mean it. But meaning isn't the issue. Timing is. Discipline is. Awareness is. Intentionality is. You have a choice. A choice to speak with intention. A choice to protect your energy. A choice to lead with your mind instead of your mouth. Let's break this down. You're not getting judged on your intelligence. You're getting judged on your delivery. People don't hear your message when it's delivered through frustration, defensiveness, fear, or insecurity. They only hear your tone. And tone without timing is noise, loud, unwise, and ineffective. But tone with timing, that's leadership. That's clarity. That's influence. And you don't need their permission to communicate that way. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You don't need someone's invitation to slow down and speak intentionally. You own your voice. You own your timing. You own your 3 seconds. Let's look at a situation you've experienced 100 times. Someone corrects you. Maybe they misunderstood you. Maybe they challenged your work. Maybe they pointed out something you didn't consider. And instantly, without hesitation, without thought, your mouth jumps in. Your tone changes. Your ego fires up. You feel the need to defend, justify, clarify, explain. Why? Because reacting is easier than thinking. Because speaking is easier than processing. Because your ego wants the last word. But your ego is not your leader. Your discipline is. This is not about avoiding conflict. It's not about being agreeable. It's not about silencing yourself. It's about controlling the force that leaves your mouth. It's about speaking from a place of strength instead of fear. It's about choosing your words instead of letting your emotions choose them for you. Imagine this. You're in a conversation and someone says something that stings. Something unnecessary. Something disrespectful. Most people fire back instantly. Most people match tone. Most people escalate without thinking. But not you. Not anymore. You pause. You breathe. You activate the 3-second rule. And in those 3 seconds, your mind steps in front of your mouth. You ask yourself, what outcome do I want? What message do I want to send? How can I respond instead of react? That is the shift. That is transformation. That is leadership. Because the truth is simple. It's not about your sensitivity, it's about your discipline. It's not about being triggered, it's about managing the trigger. It's not about controlling them, it's about controlling yourself. You have a choice every time you speak. A choice to create connection or conflict. A choice to build trust or burn bridges. A choice to show leadership or lose it. When you pause, you gain clarity. When you gain clarity, you speak differently. When you speak differently, people treat you differently. Let's go even deeper. Communication has 2 layers: the words you say and the energy behind them. Reactive speech is loaded with fear, insecurity, ego, or anger. Intentional speech is loaded with clarity, calmness, and power. 3 seconds separates those 2 worlds. It rewires your communication from emotional to deliberate, from defensive to strategic, from rushed to refined. Think, then speak every time. Say it again. Think, then speak every time. Repetition builds discipline. Discipline builds identity. Identity builds leadership. Here's a practical, real-world exercise you can use today. When someone asks you a question, pause. When someone challenges you, pause. When someone misunderstands you, pause. When someone pushes your buttons, pause. Let the silence do the work. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not insecurity. Silence is not retreat. Silence is discipline. Silence is space. Silence is strategy. Silence is self-respect. You've been conditioned to fill silence because you think silence makes you look unsure. But the opposite is true. Silence makes you look strong. Silence makes you look controlled. Silence makes you look confident. Leaders do not rush. Leaders do not scramble. Leaders do not speak before their mind is ready. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to wait 3 seconds. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. Because ultimately, this chapter is not about words. It's about control. Not control over others. Control over yourself. You will speak differently after today. Not because you know better, but because you will pause before you speak. You will let your mind lead your mouth. You will choose timing over ego. You will choose silence over impulsiveness. You will choose discipline over reaction. And people will notice. They will feel the shift. They will sense the stability. They will respect the intention behind your words. They will trust a voice that thinks before it speaks. You have a choice. Let this be the moment you choose to communicate like the leader you're becoming. Let this be the moment you choose discipline over impulse. Let this be the moment you choose to think before you speak. This is the evolution of your identity. This is the beginning of true communication power. This is the foundation for everything that comes next. Because now that you understand the importance of timing and intention, you're ready to confront the next enemy of self-control, emotional ambush. You strengthened your communication. Now it's time to strengthen your defense. Life does not warn you before it hits you. It does not give you a calendar invite before it tests your stability. It does not send you a reminder before it pushes your buttons. Life ambushes you. It hits you fast. It hits you unexpectedly. And it hits you in the places you are least prepared. Criticism, disrespect, urgency, pressure. All of them are emotional traps disguised as moments. Most people fail these moments because they react instantly. They take the bait. They walk into the emotional ambush without a helmet, without awareness, without discipline. They surrender control because their reactions are faster than their thinking. And every time they fall for the ambush, they lose authority. They lose composure. They lose themselves. You need to understand something right now. You cannot stop emotional ambushes from happening, but you can learn to stop falling for them. That's the key. That's the power the 3-second rule gives you. Because those 3 seconds aren't just about slowing down. They are about neutralizing emotional hijacking. What is emotional hijacking? It's when your emotions grab the steering wheel and crash your clarity. It's when your triggers overpower your intelligence. It's when the moment pulls you into chaos before you even recognize the trap. You know what it feels like. Someone criticizes your work. Someone dismisses your opinion. Someone raises their voice. Someone treats you like you're less. And instantly, your body reacts. Your heart rate spikes. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts scatter. That's the ambush. That's the hijack. But here's the truth you keep forgetting. You have a choice to let the hijack happen, or a choice to stop it with discipline. Because it's not about the trigger, it's about the training. It's not about the disrespect, it's about your response. It's not about your sensitivity. It's about your discipline. The emotional ambush is not the problem. Your reaction is. The trigger is not the problem. Your timing is. The world is not the problem. Your lack of preparation is. You don't need their permission to control your emotional response. You don't need their validation to hold your ground. You don't need their cooperation to stay composed. This is your inner battlefield, your inner leadership, your inner discipline. Let me give you a scenario you've probably lived before. You're at work. Someone calls you out in front of others. Maybe they do it intentionally. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe they're careless. But the moment their words hit you, your pride flares. Your ego wakes up. Your emotions surge. And before you can even breathe, you jump back. You defend yourself. You argue. You speak too fast. Your words outrun your wisdom. That's the emotional ambush at work. But now imagine the 3-second version of you. The trained version. The disciplined version. The version of you who refuses to get hijacked. The criticism hits. The disrespect hits. The moment hits. But you don't move. You don't react. You don't take the bait. You pause for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And those 3 seconds do 3 things. They interrupt the emotional spike. Your brain stops spiraling. Your body stops tightening. Your ego stops screaming. They restore your thinking. You shift from "how dare they" to "what is the smartest move?" And they protect your identity. You respond like the person you want to be, not the person you used to be. That's strategic. That's intentional. That's leadership. The emotional ambush only has power if you participate in it, if you jump in, if you accelerate the chaos, if you let your emotions decide your next move. But you don't have to. You never did. You have a choice reinforced every time you pause, a choice strengthened every time you use discipline instead of impulse. A choice that becomes your identity the moment you commit to it. Let's go deeper. Triggers aren't the enemy. Your lack of preparation is. If you know criticism triggers you, train for it. If you know disrespect triggers you, prepare your response. If you know urgency triggers you, practice the pause. Stop acting surprised by the ambushes that happen every week. You already know where you're vulnerable. Strengthen those spots. Build discipline where you've been building excuses. Because it's not about the ambush, it's about your preparation. Successful people are not calm because life is easy. They are calm because they expect the ambush. They prepare for it. They anticipate it. They train for it. And when it happens, they don't fall apart. They don't collapse. They don't react. They respond. They choose. They lead. 3 seconds is not a long time, but it is long enough to save your reputation. It is long enough to protect your peace. It is long enough to prevent emotional hijacking. Remember this: the emotional ambush only wins when you rush. The emotional ambush only wins when you speak too soon. The emotional ambush only wins when you let impulse replace discipline. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to think. You don't need their cooperation to choose clarity. Those 3 seconds belong to you. Use them. Because every time you pause, you are telling the world and yourself that your emotions do not run your life. Your discipline does. Your awareness does. Your preparation does. You are changing your identity with each pause. You are rewiring your default settings. You are building a new emotional baseline that cannot be ambushed so easily. And that's how you win. Not by eliminating triggers, but by eliminating instant reactions. Not by controlling the world, but by controlling your response. Not by avoiding pressure, but by mastering yourself under pressure. This chapter was your first real step into emotional intelligence. Not the soft kind, the strategic kind, the kind that creates calm in chaos, the kind that gives you advantage in conflict, the kind that makes you unshakable when others crumble. You now understand the ambush. You now understand the trap. You now understand the power of 3 seconds. You strengthened your internal stability. Now it's time to strengthen the next layer, your external boundaries.
Your ego is the loudest voice in the room. It wants to win. It wants to be right. It wants the last word. And that's the real enemy of your progress. Because when the ego takes over, you don't respond. You react. Fast, blind, reckless. You already know this. You've lived this. You've felt the consequences of speaking too quickly, texting too quickly, replying too quickly, defending too quickly. Your ego hates silence. Your ego hates delay. Your ego hates not being seen, not being heard, not being acknowledged instantly. But here's the truth. You have a choice, and that's the key. 3 seconds defeats the ego every single time. Not because the ego disappears, but because the ego loses control of your mouth, your message, and your moment. You have to understand this. The ego wants speed. Discipline requires stillness. The ego wants validation. Discipline seeks clarity. The ego wants dominance. Discipline chooses direction. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their permission to breathe before responding. The ego screams. Discipline whispers. Choose the whisper. The ego makes you reactive, not intelligent. Let's talk about why the ego is your real enemy. Because the ego pushes you to protect your image, not your future. It pushes you to look powerful, not be powerful. It pushes you to answer quickly just to prove something, usually something useless. Say it clearly to yourself. It's not about being right. It's about being disciplined. It's not about proving yourself. It's about controlling yourself. That's the shift. When someone disrespects you, your ego commands instant retaliation. When someone criticizes you, your ego demands a fast comeback. When someone texts you with attitude, your ego tells you to fire back immediately. When someone comments something stupid on social media, your ego wants you to clap back instantly. But the truth? Instant reactions never make you stronger. Instant reactions expose your weakness. Instant reactions show the world your triggers, your insecurities, your lack of control. 3 seconds gives you distance. 3 seconds gives you power. 3 seconds gives you intelligence. You have a choice. You can pause. You can think. You can control the conversation instead of being controlled by it. And that's the key. Ego wants fast. Greatness requires slow. The greatest leaders, warriors, negotiators, athletes, none of them move from the ego. They move from clarity. They move from strategy. They move from discipline. The ego will always tell you, respond now. Discipline will always tell you, wait. And only one of those voices protects your future. Only one of those voices strengthens your character. Only one of those voices helps you win long term. Let me remind you, it's not about impressing anyone today. It's about strengthening yourself for every day after. So when your ego says, they disrespected you, Discipline says, you have a choice. When your ego says, don't let them get away with that, discipline says, think, then speak, every time. When your ego says, reply fast so you don't look weak, discipline says, silence is strength. 3 seconds separates the immature version of you from the disciplined version of you. 3 seconds protects the reputation you're trying to build. 3 seconds destroys the ego without you saying a single word. Examples where the ego traps you every day. Let's get practical. Text arguments. You get a message that triggers you. Your ego wants to reply instantly. All emotion, no direction. Those fast responses, they escalate everything. They prolong drama. They turn small situations into massive fires. 3 seconds fixes that. Pause, breathe, look again. Most of the time, you'll either respond with clarity or not respond at all, and both are better than emotional damage control. Social media comments. Someone talks trash. Someone challenges you. Someone tries to embarrass you or provoke you. Your ego says, hit back. Discipline says, why waste your life on trolls? 3 seconds lets you choose silence, the most powerful answer of all. Escalating drama. Arguments with family. Arguments at work. Arguments with your partner. The ego always makes it worse. The ego always adds fuel. The ego always pushes you to say something you'll regret. 3 seconds? 3 seconds shifts you from firefighting to fire prevention. Because you don't fix every situation by reacting. You fix situations by controlling the reaction. You have a choice, and that's the key. The ego is loud, but you don't have to obey. You need to understand something about the ego. It's always active. It's always trying to protect its image. It's always trying to defend itself. It's always trying to feel important. But the ego is not you. The ego is not your future. The ego is not your identity. The ego is just a reflex, and reflexes can be trained. 3 seconds is your training. 3 seconds is your weapon. 3 seconds is the discipline that breaks lifetime habits. Say it with conviction. I don't react instantly anymore. I choose my timing. I control the space between the trigger and the response. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their permission to be better than your old self. 3 seconds isn't just a technique, it's a transformation. It's the beginning of a new identity, one that is calm, measured, strategic, and powerful. The closing lesson. Your ego is your real enemy because it steals your timing. It steals your clarity. It steals your discipline. But you have a choice. You can reclaim your power. You can choose the pause. You can choose the silence. You can choose the 3 seconds that separate chaos from control. That's the key. And when you crush the ego, you reclaim your life. Now that you understand the enemy inside you, it's time to master the weapon that protects your peace. You crushed the ego. Now let's talk about the discipline that changes your relationships forever.
People think delay is weakness. They think silence means uncertainty. They think waiting means fear. They're wrong. Delay is power. Delay is strategy. Delay is intelligence in its purest form. And you need to hear this clearly. You have a choice. You don't have to react fast. You don't have to respond instantly. You don't need their permission to slow down. 3 seconds rewires your entire identity. 3 seconds turns you from emotional to intentional. 3 seconds transforms you from reactive to unshakable. Say it with force, delay to dominate, because that's the key. The lie you've been taught. Since childhood, you were taught to respond quickly. Teachers demanded it. Parents expected it. Society rewarded it. Speed became your survival. Speed became your habit. Speed became your identity. But let's expose the truth. Instant reactions kill your power. Instant reactions expose your weakness. Instant reactions show everyone exactly what sets you off. You react fast when you're insecure. You respond slowly when you're in control. And control is the discipline you're building in this chapter. Repeat it to yourself. It's not about being fast. It's about being disciplined. It's not about pleasing them. It's about protecting me. Delay is how you take back your power. Why delay works. Delay forces your brain to shift from emotional mode to strategic mode. Delay gives you space to think, to breathe, to analyze. Delay breaks the chemical storm inside your mind. Those first 3 seconds after a trigger, that's where reactions are born. That's where chaos begins. That's where regret is created. When you wait, even for a moment, something powerful happens. Your mind recalibrates. Your emotions slow down. Your perspective expands. And suddenly, you're not fighting the moment. You're directing it. Remember, you have a choice. Every time. Delay creates dominance in communication. Think about great negotiators, great leaders, great decision makers, great fighters, great thinkers. None of them rush. None of them react instantly. None of them let emotion dictate timing, because they understand something you're just beginning to master. Delay creates psychological advantage. When you delay your response, the room shifts. The dynamic changes. People lean in. People wait for you. People adjust to your timing. You stop chasing the conversation. You start controlling it. You don't need their permission to take that space. You don't need their permission to slow the moment down. You don't need their permission to breathe before you speak. Silence is strength. Stillness is strategy. Delay is dominance. Say it again, delay to dominate. Real-world examples where delay wins. Let's break down how delay transforms everyday situations. Example 1. Heated arguments. Someone raises their voice. Someone insults you. Someone tries to provoke you. Your old self reacts instantly. Your ego jumps out fast. You fire back without thinking. But the disciplined you pause. You breathe. You wait 3 seconds. Suddenly, you're not part of the chaos. You're the calm in the middle of it. Delay doesn't make you weak. Delay makes you untouchable. Example 2. Work pressure. Your boss demands an answer. Coworkers rush you. Everyone wants a quick decision. But you know quick isn't always smart. Delay allows you to think clearly. Delay stops you from making promises you can't keep. Delay keeps you in control of your schedule, your energy, your boundaries. You have a choice. Choose clarity. Example 3. Digital communication. A text that irritates you.
a message that triggers you, a comment that disrespects you. Your instinct, reply instantly. But great communicators don't fight digital battles fast. They respond when they're composed, not provoked. 3 seconds changes everything. Sometimes delay shows them their own immaturity. Sometimes delay lets the problem die on its own. Sometimes delay gives you the perfect, measured answer. Delay to dominate. Delay is not hesitation, it's strategy. Listen carefully. Hesitation is fear. Delay is discipline. Hesitation comes from doubt. Delay comes from strength. One dissolves your confidence. The other reinforces it. You delay because you're choosing the higher ground. You delay because you're controlling the pace. You delay because you refuse to let emotions hijack your intelligence. You're not slow. You're strategic. You're not unsure. You're deliberate. You don't need their permission to be deliberate. You don't need their permission to think before you speak. You don't need their permission to value your own clarity. Delay makes you the conductor of the moment. You're not reacting to the world is reacting to you. That's the key. What you must do starting today. Here's your behavioral instruction. Simple, powerful, immediate. Every time you feel a trigger, delay for 3 seconds. Every single time, no exceptions. The trigger can be a tone of voice, a comment, a text, a disrespect, a demand, an interruption, an insult, pressure, urgency. Whatever it is, you do the same thing. Pause, breathe, think, then speak. 3 seconds. No instant replies, no emotional reactions, no ego responses. Just discipline. You have a choice. Choose the pause. Choose the delay. Choose the power. Because the person who controls the timing controls the outcome. And the person who controls the outcome controls their life. The closing lesson. Delay isn't weakness. Delay isn't hesitation. Delay isn't fear. Delay is power. Delay is discipline. Delay is dominance. Those 3 seconds reshape your identity. They elevate your presence. They refine your communication. They strengthen your relationships. They protect your reputation. And every time you choose delay, you choose control. Every time you choose delay, you choose wisdom. Every time you choose delay, you choose the strongest version of yourself. Say it one more time. Delay to dominate.
Most people live at the mercy of their biology. They don't know it, they don't see it, they don't understand it. But their entire life is being controlled by one simple truth. Your emotional brain fires before your logical brain. That's the core. That's the design. That's the flaw built into your system. And that flaw destroys careers, relationships, opportunities, and reputations every single day. But here's the breakthrough. You have a choice. You don't have to stay enslaved to your wiring. You don't need their permission to override your impulses. You don't need to be ruled by biology. You can use the pause. You can use the science. You can use the 3-second rule. Because the pause breaks the pattern. Say it out loud. Pause breaks the pattern. That's the key. Your brain fires emotion first. Let's break down what actually happens inside your skull. Not in a poetic way, not in a motivational way, in a biological, mechanical,
unavoidable way. Here's the sequence. Something triggers you. Your amygdala, the emotional command center, fires instantly. Adrenaline spikes. Fight or flight activates. Logic is bypassed. The emotional brain reacts in milliseconds. The logical brain takes longer. It needs time. It needs space. It needs oxygen. That's why you explode. That's why you defend. That's why you argue. That's why you overreact. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're dramatic. It's not because you're flawed. It's because your brain is built that way. But listen carefully. It's not about biology. It's about discipline. It's not about instinct. It's about control. It's not about reaction. It's about response. 3 seconds is all your logical brain needs to come online. 3 seconds is all your emotions need to settle. 3 seconds is the difference between destroying the moment and mastering it. Pause breaks the pattern. The pause resets your system. Your pause isn't just silence. Your pause isn't empty space. Your pause is a neurological reset. It stops the chemical surge. It stops the emotional fire. It stops the impulsive reaction. Let's break it down. 1. Adrenaline settles. When you pause, your stress hormones stop spiking. Your body shifts from attack mode to stability mode. Your lungs reopen. Your breath deepens. Your heart rate stabilizes. Your emotional brain hates slow breathing. It can't survive in that environment. It loses strength when your breath steadies. 3 seconds of breath can stop a fight. 3 seconds of breath can stop a meltdown. 3 seconds of breath can stop a bad decision. You have a choice. Choose breath over chaos. 2. Cognitive override. Have you ever noticed how someone calm looks smarter, more powerful, more respected? It's because they're not speaking from emotion. They're speaking from cognition. They're speaking from prefrontal alignment. Here's what override sounds like. Instead of, "What did you just say to me?" you think, "What's the best response for the outcome I want?" Instead of, "I can't believe this is happening," you shift to, "What's the next move that keeps me in control?" Instead of, "I need to defend myself right now," you say, "I don't need their permission to think before I answer." Cognitive override is the difference between amateurs and leaders. It's the difference between survival and strategy. And it begins with the pause. Pause breaks the pattern. 3. Adrenaline settling. Adrenaline doesn't just make you reactive. It makes you blind. It narrows your focus. It locks you into the moment like a trap. That's why emotional reactions feel urgent. That's why everything feels personal. That's why you act before you think. But here's the science. Adrenaline peaks fast, but it also drops fast if you pause. Your body only needs a few seconds to stabilize, a few seconds to clear the fog, a few seconds to regain control. So when something triggers you, remember, you're not actually angry. You're chemically charged, and chemistry can be controlled. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Pause breaks the pattern. What you must do now. You need to apply the pause intentionally. Not when it feels easy, not when the moment is calm, not when you're in control. You must pause in the heat, in the conflict, in the argument, in the tension, in the disrespect, in the pressure, in the surprise. Here's your instruction. Step 1. Feel the trigger. You notice the spike. You feel the heat. You sense the reaction. Step 2. Stop everything internally. No movement, no talking, no defending, no explaining. Step 3. Breathe once. In, out, slow. Step 4. Think a single thought. Pause breaks the pattern. Step 5. Respond with intention, not emotion. This is your formula. This is your discipline. This is how you rewire your brain. Because the pause isn't just a moment. The pause is a weapon. The pause is a shield. The pause is the system reset that makes you untouchable. And you don't need their permission to use it. The closing lesson. You're no longer a victim of your biology. You're no longer reacting from instinct. You're no longer trapped in emotional reflex. You have a choice. You have a system. You have a discipline. Emotion fires fast. Logic fires slow. But you choose which one leads. The pause gives you control. The pause gives you clarity. The pause gives you power. Say it one more time. Pause breaks the pattern. You learned the science. Now let's move into the mindset that sustains it.
Silence during conflict is not surrender. Silence is psychological leverage. Silence is control. Most people react fast. Most people talk too much. Most people expose their emotions before they even understand them. But not you. Not anymore. You are learning a different discipline, a higher discipline, a discipline that separates the reactive from the powerful, the loud from the effective, the emotional from the strategic. And that discipline is simple. Silence beats noise. You've been conditioned to believe that speaking first shows strength, but that's a lie. Speaking first shows neediness. Speaking first shows insecurity. Speaking first shows fear. Let me repeat this for clarity. The one who speaks first is the one who wants to prove something. The one who stays silent is the one who already knows the truth. You have a choice. That's the key. In every conversation, in every argument, in every conflict, you decide whether you will act from impulse or intention. And silence is intention. 3 seconds. That's all you need. 3 seconds of controlled silence forces the other person to reveal more than they planned. 3 seconds forces them to fill the space. 3 seconds exposes their motive, their weakness, their insecurity. You think silence is passive? No. Silence is pressure. Silence is dominance. Silence is a mirror that makes the other person confront themselves. Let me say it again, because it must be burned into your mind. Silence is your weapon. Most people hate silence. They fear it. They run from it. They break it instantly because they can't stand the discomfort of being alone with their own mind. But that's exactly why silence works. The tool people fear the most becomes the tool that controls the room. You don't need their permission to stay silent. You don't need their approval. You don't need to justify your stillness. Your silence is yours. Your silence is power. Your silence is a message without words. You've seen it before, in negotiations, in confrontations, in relationships. The person who pauses wins, because silence forces truth to surface. When you stop talking, the other person starts thinking. And that's when they make mistakes. They reveal too much. They show their cards. They expose their insecurity they tried so hard to hide. Remember this: noise is emotional. Silence is strategic. You want transformation? Here it is. Stop being the first one to explain yourself. Stop being the first one to rush in with answers. Stop being the first one to break the tension. Hold the silence. Own the silence. Let the silence work for you. Because silence is not empty. Silence is full. Full of information. Full of power. Full of advantage. When you pause before responding, you're telling the world one thing: I am not controlled by your energy. And that is strength. That is mental discipline. That is emotional mastery. Let me break down how you use this in real life. 1. In arguments, you pause. You breathe. You respond only after your emotion settles. You let their noise expose their weakness. You do not match their volume. You elevate your control. 2. In negotiations, you let them speak. You let them over-explain. You let them rush to justify their position. Then you speak with intention, not emotion. 3. In leadership, silence makes your words matter. When you speak less, people listen more. When you pause, people lean in. When you wait, people reflect. Your silence shapes their attention. 4. In relationships, not every emotional jab deserves reaction. Not every question needs an instant answer. Not every accusation deserves your energy. Silence is not withdrawal. It's emotional sovereignty. And here's the reality. People who try to provoke you depend on your reaction. They need your noise. They feed on your urgency. But silence starves them. Silence takes away their advantage. Silence forces them to confront their own motives. That's the secret. Your silence breaks their script. They expected a reaction. They expected you to defend yourself. They expected to pull you into chaos. But silence says, I don't move just because you do. I don't speak just because you're loud. I don't collapse just because you push. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. It's not about weakness. It's about restraint. It's not about surrender. It's about strategy. And strategy wins. Most people don't understand this because they live in reaction mode. Their entire life is built on responding instantly. Their emotions press the buttons. Their impulses hold the steering wheel. But you are not them. You are building something different. A stronger mind, a disciplined presence, a powerful internal state. Silence is not what you fall into. Silence is what you choose. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is precision. You have a choice. Every conflict gives you a choice. Every conversation gives you a choice. Every provocation gives you a choice. React fast or respond powerfully. Break down or break through. Noise or silence. That's the key. You win the moment you choose silence over noise. Because noise is temporary, but silence is permanent. Noise rises fast and disappears fast. Silence hits slow, but stays long. Words can be forgotten, but silence is remembered. Say less, mean more. Hold your ground, control your space. Because silence is your weapon. And now that you understand how silence shapes conflict, how silence controls energy, how silence triggers truth, it's time to go one level deeper. You mastered your reactions. You mastered your presence. Now it's time to master something even more valuable.
Every heated conversation contains a hidden trap. A trap most people walk into without thinking. A trap that destroys clarity, destroys control, and destroys respect. And that trap is simple. Responding first. You already know this. The fastest response is usually the weakest response. Instant reaction is emotional. Instant reaction is chaotic. Instant reaction is blind. But you're not here to live blind. You're here to live disciplined. And that's where the 3-second rule comes in. 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds. 3 seconds between the stimulus and the response. 3 seconds that separate clarity from chaos. 3 seconds that transform your communication. Let me repeat this because it must anchor into your mind. The pause ensures you speak from clarity, not chaos. Most people don't pause. Most people don't breathe. Most people don't think. They spill their frustration, their defensiveness, their panic, their insecurity instantly. And once it comes out, they can't take it back. But you are learning something different, a higher form of self-command, a discipline that turns every conversation into a strategic moment. The 3-second rule. You have a choice. That's the key. You can respond like everyone else, fast, frantic, emotional. Or you can wait 3 seconds and respond like someone in control. 3 seconds. That's all it takes to change your entire presence. Let me show you how it works. Example 1. Customer service failure. You walk into a store. Your order is wrong. Your time is wasted. Your patience is tested. The old you reacts immediately. You raise your voice. You spit frustration. You lose control. And what happens? They shut down. They defend themselves. They stop listening. But the disciplined version of you, the version you're building now, he takes 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then he speaks. Calm, clear, controlled. Because silence resets the energy. Because silence signals authority. Because silence forces alignment with your tone. That's the key. You teach people how to treat you through your calm, not your chaos. It's not about being passive. It's about being powerful. It's not about holding back emotion. It's about channeling intention. It's not about weakness. It's about discipline. 3 seconds, reclaim the moment. Example 2. Relationship fights. This is the one people fail the most. Someone you love says something sharp. It hurts. It stings. It triggers the old wounds. Your instinct? Fire back. Defend. Clap back. Prove your point. But listen carefully. Your reaction becomes the fuel of the fight. When you respond instantly, you feed the negativity, you amplify the chaos, you escalate everything. But the 3-second rule breaks the pattern. It interrupts the spiral. It resets the emotional temperature. 3 seconds to breathe. 3 seconds to choose your tone. 3 seconds to protect the relationship instead of destroying the moment. You have a choice. And those 3 seconds give you the ability to make it consciously, not emotionally. That's the key. It's not about winning the argument. It's about maintaining the connection. It's not about proving your point. It's about protecting your peace.
It's not about reacting fast. It's about responding right. 3 seconds can save you from saying something you'll regret for years. 3 seconds can prevent a small misunderstanding from becoming a war. 3 seconds can turn a heated moment into a healthy conversation. 3 seconds. Remember that. Why the 3-second rule works? Because the human mind cannot think clearly in the first second of emotional heat. Because emotions react faster than logic. Because the first impulse is almost always self-protection, not truth. But the second impulse? That's the real you, the grounded you, the steady you. 3 seconds shift your brain from instinct to intelligence, from survival to strategy. 3 seconds give you clarity, authority, presence, control. People respect the person who thinks before they speak. People follow the person who doesn't panic. People listen to the person who pauses with intention. And here's the deeper truth. The 3-second rule isn't just about communication. It's about identity. It's about who you're choosing to be. The reactive version of you is the weaker version of you. The responsive version of you is the disciplined version of you. It's not about being slow. It's about being sharp. It's not about holding back. It's about holding power. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their approval. You don't need to justify your silence. Those 3 seconds belong to you. They are your space, your reset, your leverage. How to apply the rule everywhere. 1. In business, pause before you answer a question. You appear smarter, more thoughtful, more strategic. 2. In leadership, pause before giving instructions. People assume you're choosing your words carefully because you are. 3. In parenting, pause before reacting. You teach emotional intelligence through example. 4. In friendships, pause before commenting. You avoid unnecessary conflict and project respect. 5. In negotiations, pause before responding. Your silence makes the other person reveal more. 3 seconds. Always 3 seconds. If someone pushes you, pause. If someone insults you, pause. If someone pressures you, pause. If someone provokes you, pause. The pause protects you. The pause strengthens you. The pause defines you. You have a choice: chaos or clarity, impulse or intention, noise or discipline. Choose discipline. That's the key. The transformation. The 3-second rule changes your relationships. It changes your reputation. It changes your identity. You become the calm one. You become the grounded one. You become the steady one. You become the one people look to when things get messy. People trust the person who doesn't rush. People respect the person who doesn't fold. People admire the person who stays composed. You are becoming that person. Step by step, choice by choice, pause by pause. 3 seconds at a time. Remember, this isn't a trick. This is discipline. This is mastery. This is control. And now that you understand how the 3-second rule transforms your conversations, your relationships, and your presence, it's time to master the deeper principle behind it.
Most mistakes in life are not caused by slow thinking. They are caused by fast decisions. Fast choices made in haste. Fast impulses that feel urgent. Fast actions that bypass clarity. And most people don't even realize it. They think speed equals efficiency. They think quick responses equal competence. They think instant reactions are proof of intelligence. They are wrong. Life doesn't reward impulsiveness. Life rewards strategy. Life rewards discipline. Life rewards decisions made with intention. And that's why you need the 3-second rule. Just 3 seconds. 3 seconds to interrupt the instinct. 3 seconds to override the emotional surge. 3 seconds to prevent a mistake before it happens. Let me say this slowly so it sinks in. Slow choices, strong outcomes. That is your mantra. That is your foundation. That is your power. Why fast decisions fail. Fast decisions are emotional decisions. Fast decisions are reactive. Fast decisions are ego-driven. Your brain reacts first, calculates later. The amygdala hijacks your logic. Adrenaline floods your system. Impulse overrides reason. And suddenly, you've bought something you don't need. You've agreed to something you can't handle. You've said yes when the answer should have been no. You've committed to deadlines, promises, or people before you even thought it through. And it happens every single day to everyone who refuses to pause. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their approval to think first. You don't need to react instantly. 3 seconds changes everything. 3 seconds rewires the process. 3 seconds transforms impulsive chaos into strategic clarity. The pause protects you from impulses. Let's talk about impulses. Impulses are invisible forces. They push, they pull, they make you believe you need something immediately. Impulse makes you buy things you don't need. Impulse makes you say yes to people who drain you. Impulse makes you chase opportunities that are traps. And you fall into the trap because you react too fast. Here's the solution. 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And in that brief pause, your brain recalibrates. The adrenaline settles. The emotional surge dissipates. Your logical mind takes control. You start thinking, do I really need this? Will this choice move me closer to my goal? Am I being guided by discipline or by desire? Pause, think, decide. Slow choices, strong outcomes. Real-world examples. Example 1. Impulsive purchases. You see it online. It's flashy. It promises instant gratification. Your old self would click buy now without a second thought. But the disciplined self pauses. 3 seconds. Breath. Consideration. Suddenly the choice becomes clear. Do you need it or do you want it? Will it help your life or distract from it? Impulse fades. Logic rules. Example 2. Quick commitments. Someone asks you to take on a new project. Your ego wants to prove yourself. Your mind races with, I should say yes. 3 seconds. You pause. You weigh the cost. You analyze the time. You measure the energy. Now your answer is deliberate. Yes, if it's aligned. No, if it's not. The choice is yours, not their pressure. Example 3. Decisions in relationships. Arguments, misunderstandings, conflicts. You're tempted to react immediately. You're tempted to apologize hastily. You're tempted to push back instantly. Pause. Breathe. 3 seconds. That pause allows reflection. You choose words wisely. You avoid escalating tension. You protect the relationship and your peace. 3 seconds keeps decisions aligned with long-term outcomes, not short-term emotion. The science behind the pause. Your brain is designed to react first. Emotion leads. Logic follows. That's the survival mechanism you inherited. It helped your ancestors run from predators. It helped them respond to danger. But in modern life, it causes problems. Every impulsive purchase, every instant agreement, every reactive decision. It's your biology, not your fault. But biology can be managed. Discipline can override instinct. And 3 seconds is all it takes. Those 3 seconds allow your prefrontal cortex to kick in. Your logical mind evaluates consequences. Your long-term goals come into view. Your impulses are filtered through strategy. Slow choices, strong outcomes. Behavioral instructions for transformation. Here's how to make this practical. Before every decision, pause for 3 seconds, no matter how small or urgent it feels. Ask the critical question. Is this aligned with my values and goals? Visualize the outcome. If the result is destructive, you don't act. If the result is constructive, you proceed with certainty. Speak or act deliberately. Do not rush. Do not cave to external pressure. Do not react emotionally. This is how disciplined people make decisions. This is how leaders, successful entrepreneurs, and powerful individuals operate daily. They don't respond to every impulse. They respond intentionally. Why this is crucial. Every fast decision chips away at your life. Every impulsive choice drains your energy. Every rushed yes steals your time, your focus, your clarity. And when you compound these mistakes over years, the cost is massive. But the 3-second rule stops the bleeding. The 3-second rule builds resilience. The 3-second rule creates power. Pause. Think. Decide. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need justification for the pause. You don't need to prove anything. Because discipline always beats impulse. Strategy always beats reaction. Slow choices always beat fast mistakes. Slow choices, strong outcomes. Say it aloud. Anchor it in your mind. Live it every day. The closing lesson. 3 seconds is all it takes to save yourself from mistakes. 3 seconds is all it takes to reclaim your life. 3 seconds is all it takes to act with intelligence, not chaos. Fast decisions destroy. Slow decisions build. Impulse steals. Discipline protects. The 3-second rule is your weapon, your shield, your strategy for life. You've mastered pauses in conversation. You've mastered silence as leverage. Now it's time to master your choices. 3 seconds. Slow choices, strong outcomes. You have the discipline, You have the power. You have the choice. The digital world is a minefield. Every message, every reply, every post is a test of discipline, and most people fail it. Why? Because online reactions are the easiest place to lose control and the hardest place to fix your reputation. One impulsive text, one defensive reply, one over-explained message, and suddenly your credibility, your respect, your authority, it's gone. You think it's just a text? It's not. It's your image. It's your influence. It's your power. But you're not here to fail. You're here to master it. You're here to take control. You're here to pause before you post. And that's why the 3-second rule matters in the digital age. Just 3 seconds. 3 seconds between seeing the message and hitting send. 3 seconds that stop impulsive chaos. 3 seconds that protect your reputation. 3 seconds that reclaim your control. Let me repeat it. 3 seconds stops you from sending messages you'll regret. The digital trap. Most people text from emotion. Most people message from urgency. Most people post from insecurity. They feel triggered. They feel wronged. They feel frustrated. And they type instantly, hit send, and regret follows. Sound familiar? We've all done it. We all know the sting of a message sent in heat, the awkward apology, the hours of explanation, the silence that follows because someone finally realized your loss of control. But not you, not anymore. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their approval to step back. You don't need to justify the delay. 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And now you respond from strategy, not chaos. Emotional texting. Example. A friend says something cutting online. Your instincts flare. You want to defend. You want to correct. You want to strike back. The impulsive version of you would fire a message immediately. It's short, it's sharp, it's fueled by emotion. And here's what happens. They see your reaction. They interpret your tone. They respond. The fight escalates. Your relationship suffers. Your image takes a hit. But the disciplined version, 3 seconds. Pause. Breathe. Your brain recalibrates. You filter your words. You decide whether this needs a reply at all, or if a calm, measured response maintains control. The pause transforms your message from reactive to strategic. It turns impulsive drama into disciplined communication. Slow choices, strong outcomes. Say it again. Anchor it into your texting habits. Defensive replies. People often respond defensively because they feel attacked. It's human, it's natural, but natural doesn't mean effective. A defensive text looks like this. You're wrong. That's not true. Let me explain why you're mistaken. It triggers escalation. It provokes more emotion. It spirals out of control. The 3-second rule stops it. Pause. Breathe. Choose your words. Your response becomes deliberate, measured, confident. You don't need to justify your feelings. You don't need to defend your position instantly. You don't need to feed into the drama. Discipline protects your digital presence. Discipline protects your image. Discipline protects your energy. Over-explanation. We also over-explain online. We try to fix misinterpretations. We try to control perceptions. We type paragraphs. We clarify endlessly. We lose our authority. The 3-second pause stops this.
3 seconds gives you perspective. 3 seconds forces clarity. 3 seconds ensures your words serve your goals, not your ego. Remember, it's not about proving someone wrong. It's about maintaining control. It's not about winning an argument. It's about protecting your peace. It's not about being reactive. It's about being disciplined. Practical instructions. Here's how to master texting and messaging with the 3-second rule. Pause before reading. When a provocative message arrives, don't open it instantly. Pause 3 seconds. Collect your thoughts. Pause before typing. Never type in the heat of emotion. Breathe. Count to 3. Consider your goal. Pause before sending. Read your message. Ask, does this serve my purpose? Does this maintain my authority? Does this protect my reputation? If the answer is no, rewrite or don't send it. Remember the mantra, slow choices, strong outcomes. Anchor it in every interaction. Real-life impact. The disciplined texter becomes respected. The impulsive texter becomes forgotten. The calm responder earns trust. The reactive messenger earns regret. 3 seconds creates leverage. 3 seconds prevents unnecessary conflict. 3 seconds controls perception. It's subtle, but it works. Over time, people notice. They notice your composure. They notice your restraint. They notice your authority. And that builds power. Power that text, messages, and social media can't take from you. The bigger picture. Digital control is more than avoiding mistakes. It's about building a reputation for discipline. It's about showing people you cannot be manipulated by triggers. It's about aligning your words with your identity. You have a choice. Every notification, every mention, every message. You can react or you can respond. The 3-second rule forces the second option. It forces intentionality. It forces strength. Discipline is your armor. Pause is your shield. Strategy is your weapon. You don't need permission to protect yourself online. You don't need approval to hold your ground digitally. You don't need anyone's validation to communicate deliberately. And when you master this, everything changes. Your relationships improve. Your professional image improves. Your influence grows. Your peace is intact. Closing thought. Texting and messaging are tiny moments with massive consequences. Reacting fast destroys. Pausing preserves. Impulse leads to regret. Discipline leads to authority. 3 seconds. Slow choices, strong outcomes. You've mastered silence. You've mastered conversation. You've mastered decisions. Now it's time to master digital control.
Most people overreact. Most people explode. Most people make mountains out of molehills. It's instinct. It's biology. It's ego. A harsh word, a small mistake, a slight insult. And suddenly, chaos, drama, conflict. People expect it. They anticipate your outburst. They feed off it. They thrive on it. But you're not most people. You're not predictable. You're not reactive. You're building power. You're building respect. You're building stability. And that starts with the power of underreaction. It starts with 3 seconds. 3 seconds to stop the explosion. 3 seconds to regain control. 3 seconds to stay above the noise. Let me repeat that. Calm is a strategy. This isn't weakness. This isn't passivity. This is strength. This is discipline. This is power in action. Why underreaction works. When you underreact, you become unpredictable. People cannot manipulate you. They cannot control your emotions. They cannot push your buttons. Your calm disarms them. Your patience commands respect. Your stability becomes your identity. The overreactors burn themselves out. They exhaust their energy. They lose focus. They are slaves to the triggers of others. But the underreactor, he preserves energy. He protects his influence. He controls his outcomes. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need their permission to remain composed. You don't need approval to act strategically. You don't need validation to stay calm. 3 seconds makes you untouchable. 3 seconds lets you respond with power, not panic. 3 seconds lets you be the person people respect rather than fear. Example 1. Workplace drama. Your coworker sends an angry email. They accuse you of missing a deadline. They imply incompetence. The typical reaction? Immediate anger, defensive emails, retaliation. And what happens? The situation escalates. Colleagues get involved. Trust erodes. Your reputation suffers. The disciplined version of you? 3 seconds. Pause. Breathe. Reset. You reread the message. You detach from the emotional hook. You respond calmly, factually, and strategically. Suddenly, you are the professional. They are the emotional. Your calm changes the dynamics. Your underreaction becomes leverage. Calm is a strategy. Repeat it. Anchor it in every workplace interaction. Example 2. Social interactions. Someone insults you. A friend criticizes you. A stranger provokes you online. The reactive version explodes. They argue, they defend, they attack. But the underreactive version? Pause. 3 seconds. Step back mentally. The insult loses its power. The critic loses influence. You remain composed. People notice. People respect. People adapt. Underreaction transforms every relationship. You project authority. You project stability. You project emotional intelligence. It's not about avoiding emotion. It's about channeling it. It's not about ignoring threats. It's about neutralizing them. It's not about being passive. It's about being strategic. Calm is a strategy. 3 seconds proves it every time. The 3-second mechanism. Here's why 3 seconds works in underreaction. Emotion settles. Your initial surge of anger, frustration, or panic passes. Adrenaline subsides. Your logical mind returns. Perspective emerges. You see the situation clearly. You evaluate intent, stakes, and strategy. You respond deliberately. Authority is maintained. By not reacting instantly, you show control. You show composure. You show leadership. Underreaction is not passivity. It is influence. It is dominance. It is the silent command that others notice. Behavioral instructions. How to master underreaction. Pause for 3 seconds before responding. Even if your instinct screams, even if your ego demands action, count, breathe, reset. Detach from the trigger. Imagine the words or actions as a wave. Let it pass. Don't jump in. Choose a calm response. Keep it short. Keep it strategic. Avoid unnecessary explanation. Avoid feeding drama. Anchor the mantra. Calm is a strategy. Repeat it mentally before responding. Repeat it physically by controlling your breath. Real-world application. Leadership. Leaders who underreact earn loyalty. They are not swayed by criticism. They handle conflict with authority. Parenting. Parents who underreact model emotional intelligence. Children respect composure over yelling. Children learn calm, not chaos. Negotiations. Negotiators who pause gain leverage. They don't reveal urgency. They force the other side to respond first. Everyday life. Underreaction prevents drama. Underreaction prevents regret. Underreaction builds credibility. You have a choice. You can be the predictable, reactive person, or you can be the calm, powerful, respected one. Why this is transformative. Overreaction drains you. Underreaction empowers you. Overreaction provokes chaos. Underreaction creates opportunity. Overreaction is ego-driven. Underreaction is discipline-driven. 3 seconds, all it takes. 3 seconds separates power from weakness. 3 seconds transforms impulsive chaos into intentional authority. Calm is not a compromise. Calm is not passivity. Calm is not fear. Calm is a strategy. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission to remain composed. You don't need approval to act strategically. You don't need validation to stay calm. You've learned to pause in conversation. You've learned to control digital interactions. You've learned to delay decisions strategically. Now you learn the final level, underreaction. The quiet strength that makes others uncertain. The calm that creates authority. The patience that wins respect. 3 seconds. Pause. Underreact. Calm is a strategy. Anchor it. Practice it. Live it. And once you master this, the final piece becomes clear.
Impulsivity is not destiny. It is a habit. And like any habit, it can be unlearned. You were trained to react instantly, from childhood lessons, from societal expectations, from a culture that rewards speed over strategy. But that means it can be reversed. It means you can train yourself to pause. It means you can break the cycle of impulsive mistakes. The 3-second rule is the key. 3 seconds to interrupt the reaction. 3 seconds to override instinct. 3 seconds to regain control over yourself and your life. Let me make this clear. Repeat the pause until you become the pause. That is the ultimate mantra. That is the ultimate discipline. That is the ultimate transformation. Why impulsivity is a habit. Impulsivity is repetitive. Every instant reply, every quick judgment, every rushed action. Each time you act without thinking, the brain strengthens the neural pathway for reaction, not reflection. It feels natural. It feels automatic. It feels who you are. But that's a lie. You are not your impulses. You are not your instant reactions. You are a product of repeated habits. That's the key. Habits can be rewired. Impulse can be replaced with strategy. Chaos can be replaced with calm. How 3 seconds rewires the brain. Every time you pause before acting, you create a new neural pathway. Every time you delay a reaction, you train your brain to choose discipline over desire. Every time you breathe, observe, and decide intentionally, you strengthen control. This is neuroplasticity in action. Your brain changes physically. Your habits solidify. Your impulses lose power. 3 seconds seems small. 3 seconds seems insignificant. But repeated hundreds, thousands, millions of times, it rewires you. It transforms your reactions. It transforms your life. Step 1. Awareness. First, recognize the pattern. Notice when you react automatically. Notice the triggers. Notice the emotional surge before the thought. Most people never see it. They are unconscious reactors, slaves to adrenaline, ego, and habit. But you are not most people. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need anyone's permission to observe your impulses. You don't need approval to take control. Awareness is the first step. Pause, watch, notice, label the impulse. Say to yourself, "This is impulse.
I am choosing pause. Step 2. Implement the pause. The 3-second pause is deceptively simple. It is deceptively powerful. Count to 3 mentally. Not aloud, not rushed, just deliberate. 1, 2, 3. Breathe. Slowly, deeply, controlled. Observe. What is the impulse? What is the emotion? Is it fear, anger, ego, desire? Decide deliberately. Do I act or do I not act? Do I respond or remain silent? Do I react or do I lead with strategy? Each pause interrupts the old habit. Each pause rewires the brain. Each pause strengthens your discipline. Repeat it consistently. Repeat it in conversation. Repeat it in decisions. Repeat it in texting. Repeat it in conflict. Repeat the pause until you become the pause. Step 3. Replace reaction with action. The pause is not the goal. The goal is deliberate action. Impulse leads to regret. Pause leads to choice. Choice leads to control. Control leads to mastery. Every action after the pause should serve your long-term goals. Every decision should reinforce your identity, not your ego. Every word should build influence, not drama. Slow choices produce strong outcomes. Pausing produces power. Underreaction produces respect. Discipline produces freedom. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And the choice is yours every single time your instincts scream. Real-world applications. Example 1. Personal relationships. You argue with your partner. Impulse says, yell, defend, attack. Pause for 3 seconds. Breathe, think, respond with clarity and calm. Your relationship improves, your influence grows. Example 2. Professional life. A colleague challenges you in a meeting. Impulse says, snap, rebut, compete. 3-second pause. Control your words. Speak deliberately. You gain respect, authority, leadership. Example 3. Financial decisions. You see an urgent deal. Impulse says, buy, commit, jump. Pause, consider, delay. Make the decision aligned with long-term goals. You avoid costly mistakes. Every domain of life benefits from the pause. Every decision, every conversation, every interaction improves. The discipline loop. Awareness. Pause. Deliberate action. Repeat the loop daily. Repeat it until it becomes automatic. Repeat it until the pause is who you are. This is how leaders think. This is how masters operate. This is how unstoppable individuals live. It's not about impulsivity. It's about discipline. It's not about reaction. It's about choice. It's not about weakness. It's about power. The mental mantra. Whenever you feel the urge to react, say to yourself, repeat the pause until I become the pause. Anchor it mentally. Anchor it physically. Anchor it in your daily routines. 3 seconds transforms you. 3 seconds trains your brain. 3 seconds creates a habit of control. And habits create destiny. Your destiny is no longer dictated by your impulses. Your destiny is dictated by your choices. Your destiny is dictated by your discipline. Closing challenge. Now is the time. Stop reacting. Stop giving power to impulses. Stop letting your old habits rule your life. 3 seconds is all it takes. Pause before speaking. Pause before acting. Pause before posting. Every decision, every conversation, every interaction. Repeat the pause. Repeat the pause. Repeat the pause. Until you become the pause.
until calm is your default, until discipline defines you. You have the power. You have the choice. You have the discipline. This is not a suggestion. This is not optional. This is your path to mastery. 3 seconds, deliberate action. Life transformed. You are no longer impulsive. You are now unstoppable. You are now disciplined. You are now in control.
Conflict is inevitable. Disagreements are unavoidable. Challenges are constant. And most people fail the test of conflict. Why? Because they react from ego, because they respond from the need to be right, because they allow their pride to dictate their actions. Volume does not win. Emotion does not win. Anger does not win. Control wins. Clarity wins. Discipline wins. And the 3-second pause is your secret weapon. 3 seconds to detach. 3 seconds to think strategically. 3 seconds to put ego aside and act deliberately. Let me make this clear. It's not about being right. It's about winning the moment with control. That is the foundation of ego detachment. Why ego destroys outcomes. Your ego is a tyrant. It wants validation. It wants superiority. It wants instant victory. When ego dominates, rationality dies. Patience evaporates. Relationships fracture. Opportunities vanish. Consider workplace arguments. A colleague questions your idea. Your ego screams, defend, prove, attack. What happens? Tension escalates. Collaboration dies. You look reactive, not capable. Now consider the pause. 3 seconds. You breathe. You detach. You think strategically. You put ego aside and act deliberately. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to stay composed. You don't need validation to act from discipline. That's the key. Real-world example 1, workplace disagreement. Picture a meeting. Ideas are debated. Tensions rise. Voices get louder. The reactive version of you interrupt, you defend, you assert dominance with volume, not logic. What happens? Tension escalates. Collaboration dies. You look reactive, not capable. The disciplined version, 3-second pause. Breath in, step back mentally, observe the situation. You respond calmly. You frame your perspective logically. You ask questions instead of attacking. Result: people listen. Respect increases. Your influence grows. It's not about ego. It's about discipline. It's not about winning an argument. It's about winning respect and outcomes. Real-world example 2, relationships. Your partner criticizes you. Impulse says defend, attack, justify. Ego screams, you're wrong, I'm right. The result? Arguments escalate, emotions flare, distance grows. Instead, pause. 3 seconds. Detach mentally. Listen actively. Respond deliberately. Acknowledge, clarify, or calmly express your perspective. The result? You de-escalate. You preserve the relationship. You influence outcomes positively. Discipline beats ego. Calm beats reaction. Choice beats impulse. The 3-second mechanism. Here's why 3 seconds works for ego detachment. Interrupt the automatic reaction. Your ego reacts faster than your logic. 3 seconds stops that. It breaks the chain of immediate emotional response. Engage the rational brain. Pause allows your prefrontal cortex to kick in. Thought replaces instinct. Strategy replaces emotion. Shift perspective. You see the bigger picture. You understand the stakes. You choose your action with intention. Every pause strengthens your ego control. Every pause reinforces discipline. Every pause turns conflict into opportunity. Behavioral instructions. To detach from ego in conflict. Recognize the ego trigger. Notice the point where pride or the need to be right surfaces. Label it mentally. This is ego. I am choosing pause. Pause for 3 seconds. Not for hesitation, but for clarity. Breathe, reset, prepare your response. Respond deliberately. Frame your words strategically. Speak concisely. Avoid emotional justification. Anchor the mantra. It's not about being right, it's about winning with control. Repeat it mentally before and during conflicts. Consistency makes this automatic. Consistency rewires the brain. Consistency ensures ego does not dictate your outcomes. Why this is transformative. Ego-controlled reactions destroy influence. Discipline-controlled responses build influence. Reactivity escalates conflict. Ego detachment resolves it. Every heated conversation, every workplace debate, every relationship disagreement becomes a test. Will you react impulsively? Or will you pause, detach, and act strategically? 3 seconds is the difference between chaos and control. 3 seconds separates the reactive from the respected. 3 seconds turns ego-driven responses into authority-driven outcomes. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And the choice is simple. Pause, detach, act deliberately. Practical exercises. Daily reflection. At the end of the day, review conflicts or disagreements. Identify where ego took over. Identify where the pause could have changed the outcome. Ego-free conversations. Practice pausing before speaking in low-stakes interactions. Notice the power of calm responses. Build the habit. Trigger awareness. Make a list of triggers that provoke ego reactions. Before a situation arises, mentally prepare to pause. Anchor the mantra. It's not about being right, it's about control. Closing thought. Conflict is inevitable. Ego is inevitable. But you are not a slave to either. You are not defined by your reactions. You are defined by your discipline. 3 seconds. Pause. Detach. Act. It's not about ego. It's about control. It's not about winning arguments. It's about winning outcomes. It's not about proving yourself. It's about proving your mastery over yourself. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval. The choice is yours every single time. 3 seconds. Deliberate action. Ego detached.
Being triggered is human. It's instinctive. It's automatic. Someone insults you. Someone doubts you. Someone challenges you. Your heart races. Your mind blurs. Your impulses scream. Respond. And most people fail the moment they are triggered. They fire first. They regret later. They escalate, argue, and destroy their own power. That's why the 3-second rule is essential. 3 seconds stops the spike. 3 seconds neutralizes the chaos. 3 seconds restores logic and control. Let me say it again. Triggered, pause. Always. This is not optional. This is not theory. This is survival. This is mastery. Understanding the trigger. A trigger is any stimulus that provokes an emotional reaction. It could be criticism. It could be judgment. It could be disrespect. Notice the patterns. Your brain reacts first, rational thought second. Adrenaline spikes. Your voice sharpens. Your body prepares for defense or attack. Reacting in this moment is giving power to the trigger. Reacting is letting someone else control your state. Reacting is surrendering your discipline. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The 3-second rule gives you that choice. That's the key. Why waiting works. Those 3 seconds seem insignificant. They are not. They are monumental. During the pause, adrenaline drops, your body's fight or flight response slows down, your heart rate decreases, your mind regains clarity. Perspective emerges. You see the bigger picture. You understand the stakes. You decide strategically instead of emotionally. Ego recedes. The need to be right diminishes. The compulsion to attack or defend fades. Pause, breathe, observe, decide. This is the formula for calm mastery. This is the formula for influence. This is the formula for control. Triggered? Pause. Always. Repeat it. Embed it. Live it. Real-world example 1. Workplace triggers. A coworker criticizes your project. Impulse says, defend, argue, prove them wrong. Reaction escalates. Team tension rises. Pause. 3 seconds. Breathe. Step back mentally. Respond with facts, not ego. Result? The criticism is addressed without drama. Your composure becomes your authority. Your influence grows. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about demonstrating control. It's about turning a trigger into a moment of power. Real-world example 2. Relationship triggers. Your partner says something hurtful. Instant reaction, lash out, counterattack, withdraw. The argument escalates, emotions flare, damage is done. 3 seconds. Breathe, observe your feelings, detach from the need to respond immediately. Then choose your words. Speak calmly, clarify, ask, express. Result? Conflict de-escalates, communication improves. You preserve respect and connection. Discipline beats emotion. Calm beats impulsivity. Pause beats reaction. Behavioral instructions. Recognize the trigger. Identify the moments when your emotional spike occurs. Label it mentally. I am triggered. I will pause. Implement the 3-second pause. Not hesitation, not avoidance. Pause to regain clarity. Pause to engage the rational mind. Pause to choose deliberately. Detach from ego. Let go of the need to defend. Let go of the need to assert dominance. Respond from strategy, not pride. Anchor the mantra. Triggered? Pause. Always. Repeat it before and during every conflict, debate, or challenging situation. Practice consistency. Use small triggers daily, emails, comments, minor irritations as practice. The strength strengthens. The habit solidifies. The pause becomes automatic. The science behind it. The human brain reacts emotionally before logically. Amygdala fires first. Prefrontal cortex follows. 3 seconds allows your prefrontal cortex to engage. Logic overrides emotion. Strategy replaces impulsivity. Control replaces chaos. Without this pause, your reactions are predictable. Predictable reactions make you vulnerable. Predictable reactions feed conflict, stress, and regret. With this pause, you are unpredictable, calm, measured, strategic. You become the authority in every interaction. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to remain composed. You don't need validation to act from discipline. The long-term transformation. Every trigger avoided strengthens you.
Every pause rewires your brain. Every deliberate response reinforces control. Eventually, 3 seconds becomes instinct. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer allow external chaos to dictate your state. You no longer give power to triggers. Your influence grows. Your relationships improve. Your decisions become sharper. Your life becomes yours. It's not about avoiding triggers. It's about controlling your response. It's not about reacting first. It's about responding deliberately. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Practical exercises. Daily trigger log. Note moments that trigger you. Record the reaction you usually have. Practice pausing before responding the next day. Simulation practice. Role-play potential conflict situations. Pause, observe, respond deliberately. Reinforce the habit. Mantra integration. Whenever stress, criticism, or challenge arises, repeat, triggered, pause, always. Anchor it in your daily life. Consistency makes the 3-second rule automatic. Automatic reactions are no longer impulsive, they are deliberate. Deliberate actions become mastery. Closing thought. Being triggered is inevitable. Reacting is optional. 3 seconds is all it takes. Pause, observe, decide. Control your response. Neutralize your emotions. Win the moment. Triggered? Pause. Always. Repeat it. Live it. Own it. Your impulses do not define you. Your triggers do not control you. Your choices define you. Your discipline define you. 3 seconds transforms chaos into calm. 3 seconds transforms reaction into power. 3 seconds transforms ordinary individuals into masters of their lives. You have the choice. You have the power. You have the discipline.
Neutrality is power. Neutrality is control. Neutrality is influence. Yet most people misunderstand it. They think neutrality is weakness. They think neutrality is passivity. They think neutrality is surrender. It is none of those things. Neutrality is strength. Neutrality is discipline. Neutrality is mastery. When chaos erupts, whether at work, at home, or in social settings, your default reaction is often anger, defensiveness, or emotion. The world wants you reactive. The world wants you emotional. The world wants you predictable. And the 3-second pause changes everything. 3 seconds turns reaction into neutrality. 3 seconds turns chaos into calm. 3 seconds turns impulsivity into authority. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to remain composed. You don't need validation to maintain control. That's the key. Why neutrality works? Neutrality disarms people. Aggression meets calm. Conflict meets measured response. Chaos meets deliberate control. Consider a supervisor berating you. Most people respond emotionally. Most people argue, justify, or shut down. A neutral response? 3 seconds. Breathe. Respond factually, concisely, and without emotion. Result? Your authority grows. Your professionalism shines. The tension in the room decreases. Neutrality does not mean agreement. It does not mean submission. It means control over your state, words, and actions. It's not about proving yourself. It's about controlling the room. Repeat it. Live it. Own it. Real-world example 1. Workplace conflicts. Imagine a client is unreasonable. They demand changes at the last minute. They are loud, insistent, emotional. Your reaction could escalate. Stress, frustration, defensiveness. You might argue, you might give in impulsively. Instead, pause. 3 seconds. Breathe. Focus. Respond neutral. Phrase your words. I understand your concern. Let's review the options. No judgment, no drama, no ego. Result: the client's aggression softens. The discussion becomes solution-focused. You remain respected. You remain calm. You remain in control. Neutrality turns adversaries into collaborators. Neutrality turns criticism into dialogue. Neutrality turns chaos into clarity. Real-world example 2. Family tension. Family arguments are the hardest. Emotions run deep. History compounds every trigger. Your sibling criticizes. Your parent complains. Your partner escalates. Immediate reaction: defensiveness, retaliation, escalation. 3 seconds. Pause. Breathe. Detach from the need to react emotionally. Respond with neutral clarity. I hear you. Let's figure this out calmly. No judgment, no drama, no ego. Result: the argument does not spiral. The tension reduces. You model calm. You influence behavior. You teach discipline without saying a word. It's not about being liked. It's not about being right. It's about controlling the environment. It's about leading the moment with neutrality. Behavioral instructions. Identify high emotion situations. Note moments in work, family, or social life that consistently provoke emotional reactions. Label them mentally. This is my cue for neutrality. Pause for 3 seconds. Not hesitation, not indecision. A deliberate pause to detach emotion from response. Focus on clarity, not reaction. Respond factually, calmly, and briefly. Avoid justifying. Avoid defending. Avoid emotional expression. Keep words neutral. Keep tone even. Keep control absolute. Anchor the mantra. Neutrality is power. Neutrality is control. Neutrality is influence. Practice regularly. Use small triggers as training ground. Emails, text messages, minor complaints. Pause. Respond neutral. Build habit. The science of neutrality. Emotional reactivity is driven by the amygdala. Your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, follows milliseconds later. The 3-second pause engages the rational brain first. You override instinct. You engage strategy. You respond from intention, not impulse. Neutrality is the natural result of this process. Calm becomes automatic. Discipline becomes default. Authority becomes visible without words. The more you practice, the more instinctive it becomes. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer controlled by others. You are the calm in the storm. Long-term transformation. Mastering neutrality changes your life. At work, meetings, deadlines, clients, neutrality commands respect. In relationships, arguments, tension, criticism, neutrality fosters harmony. In social situations, conflict, gossip, judgment, neutrality keeps you unshakable. Every pause strengthens discipline. Every neutral response reinforces authority. Every controlled interaction rewires your brain for mastery. It's not about perfection. It's about consistent application. It's about 3 seconds becoming a reflex. Practical exercises. Neutrality log. Record situations where you felt reactive. Reflect on how neutrality could have changed the outcome. Plan your neutral response in advance. Role play practice. Practice with a friend or mentor. Simulate conflicts. Pause. Respond neutral. Notice the power of calm over chaos. Daily pause integration. Before responding in emails, calls, or conversations, pause 3 seconds. Anchor the mantra. Neutrality is my power, pause is my weapon. Closing thought. Neutrality is not passivity. Neutrality is not surrender. Neutrality is mastery. 3 seconds. Pause. Detach. Respond neutral. It's not about winning arguments. It's not about proving a point. It's not about emotion. It's about control. It's about influence. It's about discipline. It's about mastering your state and commanding every interaction. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to remain composed. You don't need validation to maintain control. 3 seconds transforms reaction into mastery. 3 seconds transforms emotion into authority. 3 seconds transforms ordinary people into leaders of their own life.
Energy is finite. It is not limitless. Your attention, focus, and emotional bandwidth are your most valuable resources. Yet most people squander it. They react instantly to every text, email, criticism, or drama. They respond to every provocation. They give away their power before they even realize it. Instant response drains your energy. Instant response feeds chaos. Instant response makes you reactive, not strategic. That's why delay is your weapon. That's why the 3-second rule is a shield. That's why a pause protects what matters most, your energy. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to conserve your power. You don't need validation to defend your focus. That's the key. The energy drain of impulsivity. Think about your day. Every reactive reply costs you mental and emotional energy. Every argument or conflict spike drains your reserves. Every impulsive decision fragments your focus. Energy is not just physical. It's mental. It's emotional. It's spiritual. When you respond instantly, your mind becomes cluttered. Your emotions spike unnecessarily. Your body tightens with stress. Pause. Delay. Protect your energy. Save your power by pacing your reaction. Repeat it. Anchor it. Live it. Real-world example. Work energy protection. Imagine receiving a critical email from a client or manager. Your gut screams, "Respond now." You type immediately. You over-explain. You justify. Result? Stress, anxiety, fatigue, energy lost. You are drained before lunch. Your focus for other tasks diminishes. Now, apply the 3-second rule. Pause. 3 seconds. Breathe. Assess the situation. Decide strategically. Respond factually, neutrally, and deliberately. Result? You conserve energy. You protect mental bandwidth. You maintain calm authority. You no longer give your power away for free. It's not about avoiding communication. It's about choosing when, how, and why to engage. Real-world example 2, social energy protection.
Social media is a modern battlefield. Every comment, post, or message is an energy sink. Most people respond immediately. They get sucked into arguments, trolls, and emotional spikes. Pause. Delay. 3 seconds. Observe your reaction. Decide if engagement is necessary or if silence protects you better. Result: your energy remains intact. Your focus stays sharp. Your life is not hijacked by other people's drama. Energy is power. Conservation is mastery. Delay is protection. Behavioral instructions for energy conservation. Recognize your energy leaks. Identify situations that consistently drain you: emails, texts, meetings, or social conflicts. Label them mentally as, "This is a cue for delayed response." Apply the 3-second rule. Not hesitation, not avoidance. Deliberate pause before responding. Assess the necessity, relevance, and emotional cost of engagement. Respond strategically, not reactively. Decide, is this worth my energy? Will my response change the outcome positively? Am I responding from calm, not chaos? Anchor the mantra. Save your power by pacing your reaction. Repeat it silently when triggered or provoked. Embed it into your daily interactions. Practice energy discipline daily. Start with small triggers. Delayed responses to minor annoyances. Waiting before answering a text. Pausing before reacting to criticism. Gradually, the pause becomes instinctive. The science of energy protection. Emotional reactivity consumes glucose in the brain. It spikes cortisol and adrenaline. Your mental resources are depleted with every instant response. Delayed response regulates emotional spikes, stress hormone release, and decision fatigue. 3 seconds allows your rational brain to regain control. Logic overcomes instinct. Strategy replaces chaos. Energy is preserved. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to protect your reserves. You don't need validation to maintain control of your energy. That's the key. The long-term benefits of energy conservation. Delaying response consistently transforms your life. Mental clarity, decisions are sharper, priorities are clear. Emotional stability, less volatility, more peace. Physical health, stress reduction, energy levels stay high. Relationships, interactions are calm, deliberate, and influential. Energy is your currency. Delay protects it. Pause multiplies it. 3 seconds makes it yours. It's not about perfection. It's about consistent application. It's not about avoiding all interaction. It's about choosing how, when, and why to engage. Practical exercises. Energy audit. Record situations where instant reactions cost you mental or emotional energy. Plan a delayed response for the next similar situation. Pause practice. Before every interaction, emails, calls, meetings, take 3 seconds. Breathe. Evaluate. Respond strategically. Anchor daily mantra. Save your power by pacing your reaction.
Repeat it silently throughout the day. Internalize it as automatic discipline. Closing thought. Energy is life. Energy is influence. Energy is freedom. Instant reactions deplete it. Delayed responses protect it. 3 seconds transforms chaos into calm, impulsivity into strategy, and exhaustion into vitality. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. Pause. Assess. Decide. Conserve. Save your mental and emotional power. Use it on what matters. 3 seconds is more than a pause. It's a shield. It's a weapon. It's a foundation for mastery.
Leadership is not shouting louder. Leadership is not reacting faster. Leadership is measured, controlled, strategic. The most powerful leaders pause more than they speak. They think before they speak. They measure every word, every tone, every gesture. Why? Because leadership is influence. Influence is built on perception. Perception is shaped by timing, clarity, and composure. You have a choice. You can speak first and risk chaos, or you can pause and speak with authority. You don't need their permission to lead. You don't need approval to assert control. That's the key. Pause as a leadership tool. Think about meetings, negotiations, or high-stakes decisions. A rushed reply diminishes authority. A hasty statement escalates conflict. A reactive response undermines respect. 3 seconds changes everything. It is a small pause, yet it communicates power. It communicates confidence. It communicates mastery of self. Leaders are slow talkers and fast thinkers. Repeat it, live it, anchor it in every interaction. Real-world example 1. Corporate leadership. Imagine a manager receiving a challenging question in a boardroom. Most respond immediately, trying to prove knowledge, to impress, to dominate. Result: confusion, contradictions, loss of credibility. Now apply the 3-second rule. Pause, breathe, think. Respond with clarity. Deliver a statement that is precise, controlled, and authoritative. Result: the room respects the calm. The leader gains influence without aggression. The pause shows mastery. It signals thoughtfulness. Energy is controlled. Attention is captured. Respect is earned. It's not about being slow. It's about being deliberate. It's not about hesitation. It's about strategic impact. Real-world example 2. Crisis leadership. Crisis management separates ordinary leaders from extraordinary ones. The moment panic hits, most people react impulsively. They respond to the storm instead of directing it. 3 seconds. That's all it takes to reset. Observe the situation. Prioritize what matters. Communicate decisively. Leaders who pause calmly neutralize panic in the team. Avoid emotional contagion. Guide the group towards solutions rather than chaos. Calmness is contagious. Control is respected. 3 seconds creates it. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need anyone else's validation to lead. You don't need approval to project calm authority. That's the key. Behavioral instructions for leadership pause. Anchor yourself before speaking. Stand, sit, or breathe before you respond in meetings. 3 seconds aligns thought, tone, and delivery. Think through outcomes. Ask yourself silently, will this response drive clarity? Will it inspire action? Will it maintain control of the situation? Speak strategically, not impulsively. When you speak after a pause, every word counts. Your team, peers, and audience perceive precision, authority, and intelligence. Master listening through delay. A pause allows others to reveal more than they intended. You gain insight. You collect information. You leverage knowledge for strategic advantage. Reinforce with repetition. Repeat silently. Leaders are slow talkers and fast thinkers. Anchor it until it becomes instinctive. Every pause becomes a tool, not a hesitation. The psychology behind leadership pauses. Humans mirror emotional energy. If you panic, the group panics. If you react impulsively, people lose confidence. If you pause, calmness spreads. 3 seconds allows your rational brain to dominate emotional responses. Tone to be adjusted for maximum influence. Thought to precede action, creating credibility. Leadership is not reaction. It is about projection. It is about controlled presence. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need anyone else's validation to lead. You don't need approval to project calm authority. That's the key. Practical leadership exercises. Pause before every key statement. Start in meetings, calls, or presentations. Count silently to 3. Speak after the pause and observe the difference in impact. Simulate crisis scenarios. Practice responses to difficult questions or high-pressure situations. Pause intentionally. Evaluate clarity, authority, and calmness in your delivery. Anchor with mantra. Leaders are slow talkers and fast thinkers. Repeat silently during tense interactions. Let the mantra guide instinctive delay and clarity. Debrief daily. Reflect on your conversations and decisions. Identify where instant reactions drained influence or energy. Adjust future responses using the 3-second rule. Long-term benefits of leadership pauses. Influence multiplies. People listen more closely. Respect grows. Authority is reinforced through composure. Decisions improve. Rational thinking dominates impulsive reaction. Energy conserved. Your focus is preserved for what matters most. Leaders who pause are not slow. They are strategic. They are deliberate. They are unshakable. Closing thought. Leadership is timing. Leadership is clarity. Leadership is composure. Instant reactions destroy influence. Delayed, deliberate responses create power. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need permission to lead. You don't need approval to assert calm authority. Pause, think, decide, speak, lead. 3 seconds transforms chaos into control. 3 seconds transforms impulsivity into strategy. 3 seconds transforms you into the leader everyone follows.
Relationships are fragile. Words carry weight. And too often, we destroy what matters most in just seconds. The most common cause of conflict is immediate reaction, a sharp word, a defensive reply, an assumption, all delivered before thought. That's why the 3-second rule is transformational. 3 seconds gives you control. 3 seconds introduces respect. 3 seconds saves your connections. You have a choice. You can speak first and escalate, or you can pause and respond with clarity.
You don't need their permission to communicate effectively. You don't need validation to maintain composure. That's the key. Why words hurt faster than actions. Think about arguments with partners, friends, or family. Most reactions are instinctive, emotional, and defensive. We speak to win. We speak to protect ego. We speak before listening. The result? Misunderstandings, hurt feelings, resentment. Instant reactions damage trust. Instant reactions fuel drama. Instant reactions destroy what took years to build. 3 seconds changes this pattern. Pause. Listen. Respond thoughtfully. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about controlling your part of it. It's not about weakness. It's about discipline. Real-world example 1. Romantic relationships. Imagine a partner says something hurtful or critical. Your instinct? Defend. Counterattack. Prove them wrong. Outcome? Escalation, raised voices, emotional distance. Apply the 3-second rule. Pause. Breathe. Count silently. Think, what is my response going to achieve? Respond calmly, using words that foster understanding. Result: the conflict de-escalates. Your tone communicates control and empathy. Your partner feels heard. Your connection grows stronger, even in disagreement. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need to react to their emotions. You don't need permission to remain composed. That's the key. Real-world example 2. Friendships and social circles. Friendships often suffer from assumptions and impulsive comments. A text, a social media post, or a sarcastic remark can spiral out of control. 3 seconds provides time to clarify your thoughts, time to check facts before speaking, time to choose words that strengthen relationships rather than weaken them. Pause and your communication becomes intentional, respectful, strategic. It's not about avoiding honesty. It's about delivering it in a way that maintains trust and influence. You have a choice. You can escalate the tension, or you can control your reaction and protect the bond. Behavioral instructions for relationship pauses. Practice counting to 3 before responding. Every time you feel triggered, count silently to 3. This applies to verbal conversations, texts, emails, and social media. 3 seconds allows logic to catch up with emotion. Anchor yourself with breath. Deep breaths regulate emotional spikes. Breathing slows the brain's emotional center and engages rational thought. Pause physically and mentally before speaking. Ask yourself 3 questions. Does my response build understanding? Does my response honor the relationship? Will my words escalate or de-escalate? Use neutral language. Replace "you always" with "I feel." Replace "you never" with "I need." Pausing lets you select language that reduces defensiveness. Reinforce with repetition. Silently remind yourself, triggered, pause, always. Anchor it until it becomes instinctive. Every pause reinforces emotional mastery. The psychology behind paused communication. Emotions fire faster than rational thought. Instant responses are emotionally driven and not solution-oriented. 3 seconds interrupts the hijack. It creates a bridge between impulse and reason. This pause allows you to listen actively, respond with empathy, preserve connection while asserting clarity. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about managing your part in conflict. It's not about conceding. It's about leading with composure and respect. Practical exercises for daily practice. Texting practice. Before hitting send on an emotional text, pause 3 seconds. Read it again. Edit for clarity and calmness. Observe how fewer regrets occur. Mirror conversations. Practice conversations in front of a mirror. Pause deliberately. Speak slowly and thoughtfully. Build the muscle memory of emotional control. Reflect and learn. After each conversation, evaluate where you reacted too fast. Commit to pausing next time. Celebrate the small victories of calm communication. Long-term benefits of the pause in relationships. Reduced conflict. Less drama, fewer fights, calmer interactions. Enhanced respect. People notice your self-control. Improved emotional intelligence. You respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Strengthened bonds. Relationships survive disagreements and even thrive. The 3-second rule is your secret weapon. It transforms impulsive, reactive behavior into disciplined, deliberate communication. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need permission to pause. You don't need approval to communicate with clarity. Pause, think, respond, strengthen, lead. 3 seconds turn emotional chaos into connection. 3 seconds prevent regret. 3 seconds protect what matters most.
Your mind reacts first. Your body reacts faster. Impulse is physical before it is mental. The twitch of the hand, the rise of the chest, the tension in the jaw, all signal a reaction before your brain has time to intervene. That's why mastering the 3-second rule is not just mental, it's physical. Still body, still mind. You cannot think clearly if your body is already acting. You have a choice. You can let your body dictate your reaction, or you can train it to pause, to anchor, to stabilize. You don't need their permission to take control of your own physiology. You don't need anyone's approval to maintain your composure. That's the key. Why the body leads the mind. Science shows the body reacts before conscious thought. Adrenaline surges, heart rate spikes, muscles tighten. If you speak or act immediately, you are speaking from your animal brain, not your rational brain. This is why arguments escalate, emails get sent too fast, and words are regretted. 3 seconds is the gap that allows reasoning to overtake instinct. 3 seconds is the time to teach your body to cooperate with your mind. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about directing it. It's not about weakness, it's about discipline. Practical methods to train your body. Breathing anchors. Slow, deep breaths reset the body's stress response. Inhale 4 counts, hold 1, exhale 6. Repeat. This signals to your nervous system, calm. Your body calms, your mind can think. Still body, still mind. Posture control. Stand or sit tall. Shoulders back, chin slightly down. Posture influences physiology and emotion. Hunched shoulders escalate stress. Open posture signals confidence and composure. Your body communicates calm before your words even arrive. Micro-stillness. Freeze small movements when triggered. Hands unclench, jaw relaxes, eyes soften. Even 1 second of stillness interrupts the emotional hijack.
This physical pause translates directly into mental pause. Anchor movements. Some people benefit from tactile anchors, touching thumb to finger, pressing palms together, grounding feet on the floor. These micro actions cue the brain to pause and engage rational thought. You have a choice. You can let your muscles dictate your reaction, or you can program them to align with your mind. Real-world example 1. Workplace tension. Imagine a manager criticizes your work harshly. Immediate reaction, defensive posture, raised voice, rapid speech. Outcome, conflict escalates, relationships strain. Authority perceives instability. Apply the 3-second rule physically. Straighten your back. Release clenched fists. Inhale deeply. Wait 3 seconds before responding. Result, your words are deliberate. Your tone is measured. Your credibility increases. Still body, still mind. Real-world example 2. Personal conflicts. Partner or friend says something provoking. You feel heat rising in chest, tension in shoulders. Immediate reaction, sharp retort, sarcastic comment, emotional outburst. Pause physically. Place hands on knees. Relax jaw. Breathe fully. Wait 3 seconds. Outcome, response comes from thought, not reflex. Words are calmer, more precise, and less damaging. Conflict may still exist, but respect remains intact. You have a choice. Every physical pause reinforces mental mastery. Every micro-action teaches your body to cooperate with your mind. Behavioral drills to embed the pause. Daily posture practice. Stand in front of a mirror for 1 minute. Check shoulders, spine, and jaw. Anchor your posture daily so it becomes automatic during stress. Breathing exercises during daily tasks. While walking, typing, or waiting, breathe deliberately. This conditions your nervous system to remain calm during triggers. Mirror trigger drill. Think of a minor annoyance. React physically with tension. Then practice micro-stillness. Release, breathe, pause. Repeat until the pause becomes instinctive. Reflection log. After stressful encounters, note where body tension led to impulsive responses. Plan micro-pauses next time. Celebrate small victories of composure. Psychological impact of physical pausing. The body communicates to the mind. If your body is tense, your thoughts follow. If your body is still, your brain engages rational thought. 3 seconds is the bridge. It interrupts the reflexive cycle. It prevents emotional hijack. It converts impulsive reactions into calculated responses. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about controlling your part of the interaction. It's not about conceding. It's about leading with composure. Long-term benefits of teaching your body to pause. Reduced emotional reactivity. Less drama, fewer impulsive words or actions. Increased authority. Calm, controlled individuals command respect. Enhanced relationships. People respond positively to composure. Mental clarity. Rational decisions replace emotional impulses. Every micro-pause, every breath, every posture adjustment reinforces the 3-second rule. Your body becomes your ally, not your enemy. Still body, still mind. Closing transition. You have learned to pause mentally. You have applied it in conversations and relationships. Now you have learned to pause physically. The mind and body are aligned. Next, we explore Chapter 20, The Habit of Delay, where we integrate mental, verbal, and physical pauses into a lifelong practice of unshakable self-control.
The goal is not to pause sometimes. The goal is not to pause when convenient. The goal is to pause always. This is the final transformation. 3 seconds is no longer a trick. 3 seconds is no longer a strategy. 3 seconds becomes instinct, identity, lifestyle. Unreactive is unstoppable. Say it with me. Unreactive is unstoppable. This is the mantra that will guide every thought, word, and action from this moment forward. You have a choice. You can continue reacting impulsively, letting life push you around. Or you can take control. You can install a new default. You can become unreactive. That's the key. Why unreactive people win? Reactive people are predictable. They are emotionally exhausted. They are victims of circumstance. Unreactive people? They are stable. They are respected. They influence outcomes instead of being influenced. Think about it. Every great leader, every master negotiator, every individual who dominates their field has mastered the pause. They don't act on impulse. They act on calculated response. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about discipline. You don't need their permission to choose this. You don't need approval to become composed. You have a choice. 3 seconds separates chaos from control. Integrating mental, physical, and verbal pauses. To be unreactive for life, you must combine what we've learned. Mental pause. Stop the racing thoughts. Ask yourself, is this response necessary? Is this the best way to act? The mental pause ensures clarity before action. Physical pause. Your body leads your mind. Release tension, breathe, anchor your posture. 3 seconds of stillness aligns your brain with your body. Verbal pause. Hold your words. Think before you speak. Delay responses in conversation. 3 seconds keeps your language precise, calm, and impactful. Do all 3 consistently, and you are no longer reactive. You are unreactive. Daily habits to reinforce unreactivity. Morning mental priming. Before starting your day, take 2 minutes to visualize situations that could trigger you. Practice the pause mentally. See yourself responding calmly. This programs your brain before chaos appears. Micro pause drills throughout the day. When someone interrupts, when a challenge arises, pause 3 seconds physically and mentally. Anchor your body, steady your breath, and respond deliberately. Repetition builds instinct. Reflective journaling. Each evening, write down moments you reacted impulsively. Plan alternative responses. Celebrate where the pause succeeded. This reflection ingrains the habit into your identity. Environmental conditioning. Set reminders, cues, or triggers to pause. Phone vibration before responding to messages, post-it notes on your computer, or physical tokens on your desk. Your environment should reinforce discipline, not chaos. Real-world example 1. High-stress work scenario. Imagine a major project goes wrong. Emails fly, people panic, fingers point, pressure mounts. Reactive approach. You join the chaos. You snap, argue, or overreact. Outcome? Mistakes increase, authority diminishes, stress skyrockets. Unreactive approach? Stop. Breathe. Pause. 3 seconds later, you respond calmly. You prioritize tasks. You clarify issues. You control the narrative. Colleagues follow your lead. The problem doesn't overwhelm. You remain composed. Still body, still mind. Unreactive is unstoppable. Real-world example 2. Personal life. A friend or family member provokes you. Old patterns tempt you. Snap, argue, or overreact. Pause. Physically relax. Mentally analyze. Respond deliberately. 3 seconds is enough to redirect the emotional surge into understanding and measured response. You protect your relationships. You maintain respect. You show strength without aggression. You have a choice. Every interaction is a chance to reinforce your new default. The long-term power of being unreactive. Becoming unreactive is not temporary. It is a lifestyle. Stress resilience. You handle crises with ease. Influence and leadership. People listen to calm, composed individuals. Emotional freedom. You are no longer hostage to triggers. Reputation and respect. Your words and actions are consistent, reliable, and impactful. The 3-second rule becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's who you are. Unreactive is unstoppable. Daily reinforcement mantra. Every time you feel the urge to react instantly, repeat. Pause, think, respond. Still body, still mind. Unreactive is unstoppable. This is your identity, not just a habit. Say it internally, say it externally. Say it until it feels like truth. Final transition to life mastery. You have trained your mind. You have trained your words. You have trained your body. You have trained your reactions. 3 seconds is no longer a technique. It's a way of life. Every day reinforces your unreactive nature. The challenge is simple but relentless. Do not let a single reaction be impulsive. Do not surrender your composure for convenience. Do not let your body or mind act before you choose. You are now ready to live life with control, power, and clarity. Remember the mantra: unreactive is unstoppable. Carry it, breathe it, live it. 3 seconds, every time, always. You now know the secret. You don't need more strength, more confidence, more power. You need 3 seconds. 3 seconds to break the emotional wave. 3 seconds to reclaim your voice. 3 seconds to protect your future. Everything you want in life begins with the discipline of stepping back before you step forward. The pause will save your relationships, your reputation, your energy, your decisions, and your destiny. So from this moment forward, promise yourself one thing. You will not react fast. You will not respond on impulse. You will not let emotions hijack your life again. Your new rule is simple: 3 seconds. Every situation, every conversation, every day. Now go prove it. Start today. Start with the very next moment that tries to pull you into chaos. Pause, then respond with power.